to prohibit traveling exotic and/or wild animal exhibitions and/or performances. Whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs has determined that transporting exotic and/or wild animals long distances is detrimental to animal welfare, and whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs has determined that the welfare of animals subjected to constant travel and confinement in temporary collapsible enclosures or facilities, long periods of restricted movement, and stress may be compromised as to their physical and mental condition, which could lead to increased risks to worker and public safety. And whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs has determined that restricting the exhibition of exotic and/or wild animals, which have recently been subjected to long-distance travel, is the most efficient way to safeguard animal welfare, worker safety, and public safety. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, Section 1, the Title 6 of the Eureka Springs Municipal Code is hereby amended to add the following. No individual, partnership, corporation, exhibitor, and/or other entity may allow for the participation of any exotic and/or wild animals, including non-human primates, in an animal act or exhibition within the corporate city limits of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, if, during the 15-day period preceding such participation, such animal traveled more than 50 miles, whether in one or multiple travel segments, in a mobile or traveling housing facility. Section 2, definitions. Exotic animal means any animal that is native to a foreign country or a foreign origin or character, is not native to the United States, or was introduced from abroad. This term specifically includes animals such as, but not limited to, lions, tigers, leopards, elephants, camels, antelopes, anteaters, kangaroos, water buffaloes, and species of foreign domestic cattle such as ankole, gayal, and yak. Wild animal means any animal which is now or historically has been found in the wild or in the wild state within the boundaries of the United States, its territories, or possessions. This term includes, but is not limited to, animals such as deer, skunks, possums, raccoons, minks, armadillos, coyotes, squirrels, foxes, and wolves. Mobile or traveling housing facility means a transporting vehicle such as a truck, trailer, or railway car used to house animals while traveling for exhibition or performances. Section 3. The provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared to be separable, and if any provision shall for any reason be held illegal or invalid, such holding shall not affect the validity of the remainder of this ordinance. Section 4. All ordinances and resolutions or parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict.
That is not the ordinance that I have that says cleaned up.
It's the one that I have that says cleaned up.
One I have.
Find non-human in there.
That's not.
It says
James.
cleaned up.
Move to approve ordinance number 2224 on its first reading.
Says cleaned up.
Well, then you don't have the right one.
Second. Okay. Mr. McClung.
Yeah, we sure we have everything included, or, rats, weasels, fleas, you name it. We're not leaving anything out, are we?
Yeah.
Just don't want to leave anything out.
Please hand me yours.
Okay, this is the one that says cleaned up. This is the one that says changes showing, and it's
That's
got
not
the
it.
100-mile thing. That's got a line drawn through it. I don't have anything of what you read. I mean, I don't have a paper of what you read.
Do you want this a copy?
No, I
right,
want
hold
to say
on,
it's
here.
illegal reading.
May I
Okay.
clarify?
Please.
Okay. When I put your packet together today, I apologize. This is the one that failed on the second reading. I mistakenly wrote cleaned up. There was a cover sheet
Is
that
the failed
explained.
one done, right?
Well,
She has it.
okay. So I apologize because I inadvertently wrote cleaned up on the one that failed.
Okay.
What you have in your right hand is the amended version where you can see everything that was taken out and the new language. So in effect, you have your right hand on what was just read.
No,
And I
because
apologize for mismarking.
yeah, but you read the 100-mile thing. And this one has it drawn through that this wasn't supposed to be part of it.
All right, let's get back on track here. Apologize, Ms.
I
Schneider, on
understand
that.
mistakes,
That
but
was
none of these are right.
the cleaned up ordinance did not have any marked up changes to it. And it said cleaned up on top. We should have gotten, no, I'm not sure what y'all got. There should have been several of them. Anyway. So do we have a discussion about this ordinance that was read?
5 of us at the table somehow have the right
So you can
ordinance,
have
and
that
I
one.
would assume that Ms. Snyder can
That's
visit
the
with
one
the
that was
clerk
just read.
later, since it's already been read into the record.
All right.
Let her have the one I just, let her have that one.
Whose is that?
Good.
Please keep the one I just read so you know exactly.
Okay, this is,
That's the one we have voted on, yes. All those other ones, put
They're all
them
wrong.
somewhere.
there.
All
Throw
right.
them
Do we
away.
have any further discussion about what was read? Yes, ma'am.
No.
Ms.
I
Snyder.
couldn't hear you. I'm still confused as to why people are having a problem letting all of the people have a voice on this and make their decisions, because we all know more than likely it's going to pass. It won't cost us a penny. There is no rush. Why do we not want to let the people voice their opinion? I don't understand that.
Ms. Snyder? I mean, Ms. Zeller?
Because we don't want to wait 2 years, because it would be nice if we could get ahead of the problem. We have had the problem once of a circus being booked in here. The people of Eureka Springs do not want to have wild animal circuses, and if we wait for 2 years to vote on this ordinance instead of getting it done now, we are probably going to have the problem come up again, because we are going to be kind of like a test case for the people that are fighting for the right to have wild animal circus and it's anywhere they want. So why don't we just get ahead of the curve and avoid the problem and take care of it before it happens? It's like getting a vaccination for measles instead of waiting until you have them.
Which I don't do that either.
Mr. Mitchell?
I understand Ms. Alderman Snyder's concern. It's on the first reading. That makes there's about at least another month before this would even begin to get to the third reading. There is more than ample time for the citizens of this town to give this council feedback. We will hear pro or con, and at any point in time, we'll hear from those that want it, and we'll hear from those that don't want the circus. And that is giving the citizens ample time to give us feedback. So the citizens are not being cut out of this process. Since they have a month to give us feedback, there's really, I really question why it would have to go to a vote when they have ample opportunity to give us feedback. That's all I have to say.
All right, we're good. Let's try to keep it brief.
Okay,
and not
just
get
one
some
last
arguments.
thing done. Been here 41 years. This is the second circus. I don't think we have to worry in the next year and a half. Second thing, it doesn't cost us a penny to put it on the ballot. Why is there a rush to ignore the people? It doesn't cost us anything to put it on the ballot. It doesn't hurt to wait, because it ain't going to happen in the next year and a half, not after 41 years. There's no reason not to. I'm sorry, I'm a firm believer in people's rights and voices.
Mr. McClung.
Has anyone really considered a practical place inside the city limits of Eureka Springs to have a circus other than where they had it the last time, which is not going to happen there again?
We don't know that.
Well, you know that the people who
What?
wait, don't
wait,
want
Mr.
to.
McClung, please, Mr. McClung, still has the floor.
Leatherwood will not be used again for a circus. It just, I mean, it's not going to happen. And there's no other place inside the city limits that would even be a practical place to put one.
Am I allowed to? Okay, Rivette, we don't have any control over the Parks Commission. They are a separate entity. We don't know who's going to be on the Parks Commission 2 years from now. We're just trying to give a voice to the people who don't want wild animal circuses
Then
here.
let them vote on it.
But we don't want to wait 2 years to do it. It's just, this is a dumb argument. Why don't we just vote on this thing?
You're not woofing about that.
I mean, okay, never
Can we
mind.
call the question?
Call the question.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of
Roll call.
passing this ordinance will signify with the roll call.
What are we doing?
We're voting on
Calling
the
the question.
first
I thought
reading.
Call the
you already
question
did.
first.
No, call the question, I'm
No,
sorry.
we voted
Still
to read
roll
the first
call.
ordinance.
Oh,
Ms. Schneider,
which one are we doing?
We're doing the roll, we're doing the,
Calling
calling
the
the
question.
question.
On ending
Call it-
discussion.
Yes.
Yes, ending discussion.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. McClung,
Yep.
Mr. DeVito,
Yep.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Zeller.
Yes.
6-0.
No.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to vote on the ordinance to approve, what was the number again?
2224.
2224. All those in favor of passing ordinance as read on 2224, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
4-2.
4-2. Okay. The last meeting and in between times, we had a discussion about 2,000 records and destruction. I can get a motion to discuss.
So moved. Second.
Since then, it's come up that most of the items that will be discussed are just your standard items that would be FOI-able without any Social Security numbers, driver's license, things like that. However, there are names on there. There are some amounts and costs. I have looked into, we have been normally taking the records for the past 10, 12 years that I know of. Don Matten, a member of the City Council, taking the records out of the binders and throwing them in trash bags and taking them out being recycled. Now the question came up whether or not that was, safe and with the identity theft and everything else going on. I checked into shredding what it would cost, and I thought it was going to be a pretty outrageous amount. We have somewhere around 20 boxes, maybe more, at roughly somewhere around $8 a box. So we're looking around $200 to shred all this, which isn't a big deal. So
Where do you take it to do it?
they will come over here. We'll have to provide them a place. It'd be like Public Works, and I'm thinking that we'll probably still need.
They have a minimum.
They have a minimum of $90.
What a deal.
Yeah. So basically, I think it was $6 a box for letter size and $8 a box for legal size.
One other question: can they still be recycled after they're shredded?
Yes.
Well,
And the shredding is, it's one of those cross shredder things and then they dump it all in and it gets recycled. So it's
God bless us for doing a good deed.
there you go. So and I don't think there's really any need to,
Feed them to the circus animals.
yes, Ms. Snyder.
Okay. Can we look into buying our own shredder? I have no idea. I know I've got a little personal one for like $15.
I think they're very, very expensive. I'll look into it. But
Well-
in the meantime,
The reason being, because like I lightly mentioned last time, Bentonville has a city shredder, and once a month the locals can bring in their boxes, bags, whatever, shred. I forget what the amount is for free, but during the rest of the time you can bring your stuff in and pay a small fee. Eventually this would pay it off. It would be a nice little stream, but it might be worthwhile having if it didn't cost $1 zillion.
well, I'm not sure. I'll check into it. I'm kind of under the impression that this company may be the ones that does their shredding.
They have a thingy.
They have a shredder. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check into it, but I'm sure it's going to be quite,
Sure they do.
quite more expensive.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
this would come out of your budget anyway, and it's a small enough thing. I think it's something you can do administratively without our permission. Is that not true or not?
State law dictates a process that a council person be involved.
He volunteered.
Mr. Thomas?
He doesn't remember from the looks on his face.
The length of time that the records have to be maintained. The municipality shall document the destruction. Affidavit is to be signed by a municipal employee performing the destruction and one council member.
Well, that's fine, but I mean, it still isn't that, I mean, that doesn't fall under his purview. Doesn't say that we have to have an ordinance to do that.
No, it's just a formality where council approves the destruction of the records. It's not an ordinance, it's just
They're letting us
formality.
know.
Yes, sir.
So then, would you like a motion that the council is giving you, the mayor, permission to dictate the method of destruction besides, including what the ordinance says? That it's your discretion to shred?
It's not, though. I'm sorry.
Second it. You just made it, didn't you?
I thought I did.
I thought you did too. Second.
I'm lost. I want a price.
Get rid of it. I think that's what the motion is to get rid of the
Never
paperwork.
mind, just shred the damn thing.
Basically be destroyed at my discretion.
Yes, sir.
That was the motion. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Can we do
Aye.
that?
No, it's against
Okay.
state law.
We're going to be shredding the documents, and Bob is going to be a witness.
There you go.
That satisfies state law.
Where your
Shredding document.
I want a price on our own shredder regardless.
Is that not, am I missing something?
I guess we'll hear.
I'm going to be part of this process. I'd really like for there to be a defined process and paper trail.
I mean, what do we have to do?
We just gave you a
We're all
process when we made a
confused.
motion.
Yes, I think so. The process is I am going to take and hire a shredder to shred the documents,
I thought.
and Bob was going to be a witness to that. All right.
We can do a road trip to Bentonville.
All right, our next item is the discussion of city referendum on the ordinance number 2223. Can I have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second.
I put this on the table because I have not seen the petition that's gone around. I think one or two of y'all have seen the petition. If I'm not mistaken, it takes 15% of the last mayoral vote to bring a referendum and put it on the ballot. That's roughly, I don't know,
96
96 people.
people.
Not very many people. 96. So one of the options we have is to go ahead and let them go ahead and put it up. It's going to cost us, I'm not sure, somewhere around maybe $7,500 to have this election if they go ahead and do it. One of the thought processes, and I haven't discussed this with our city attorney, I don't know whether he can even jump in on this or not, is if we go ahead and decide to have our own referendum and our own election, we can go in and put this in with Berryville, since they're having an election, and bring it up to a vote to the people. And that way we're only going to be spending $3,750 instead of $7,500. There's an assumption in there. There's one that he's going to get 96 people to sign the petition. But that's kind of it. So anyway, James?
My only question is that the dictates laid out in state law as to the time period in which a referendum has to go to a vote is I think it says no later than 90 days. I'm not 100% certain on that. It's from when the petition is certified that the election be held. That's the only caveat I see in going the other way. And as far as getting 96 signatures, I'm pretty much operating under the assumption that it's a done deal.
The other thing is that if we want to put it up to the people, we had to do it within 30 days of our action. So, I mean, we're within our time frame. Now, the 90 days, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure when Berryville's time is on that. Ms. Schneider?
Okay, having checked into this on all levels. A third option is for us to vote tonight to put it on a general ballot for a vote of the people. That would kind of negate any further action on anybody's part. Now the thing is, and I had the mayor ask Municipal League in regards to when the state law passes, which makes our law moot. And I don't think people understand that. When that state law is law, our law that we just passed no longer counts. We can take no action. So what I had the mayor ask Municipal League was, since it's illegal for anybody to take any action on an anti-discrimination, would not putting this to a vote of the people very shortly, like the little dude wants, would this not be an illegal action? And they're not sure. They have to look into this. This could be an illegal action, letting the people vote on if we want to have anti-discrimination or not. So we're waiting to hear on that. But in the meantime, May 12th, I think it is, Berryville is having a special election. If we are going to have a vote of the people on this soon-to-be moot issue, and would have to decide now, because it has to get into the ballot with Berryville, then we can split the election cost. Otherwise, you're talking a minimum of $7,000, because an outsider has come in with scaremongering and scare tactics and gotten our people all upset over a moot ordinance, or soon to be. I gave the mayor a copy of the handout that's been going around, a 2-page handout. Thoroughly disgusting, totally fear-mongering. It's ridiculous. It states in there that by passing this anti-discrimination law, that means any man who wants to dress up like a woman and go into the ladies' restroom can. And that this has happened. And every incident that they showed was a straight man purposely dressing up as a woman to attack them. Had nothing to do with transgender or gay or anything else, but this is the mongering that's going on. Now, the guy that is bringing all this here is the same one that fought it in Fayetteville. He himself is an attorney. Now, what he's doing here in Eureka is not only continuing to build up his name, but he's lining his pockets with money from our local
point
people
of order,
who don't have to pay because it's moot as soon as state law passes. So I would suggest...
The question is, we're talking about bringing it up to a vote or not.
So that's what I'm suggesting, that if we vote tonight to say yes, we will put it on the next general election for the people to vote on. That should negate any action and not cost us a penny.
Mr. Mitchell?
This topic is very emotionally laden. We had some very eloquent speakers that came at the public session. Reverend Wilson, the other reverends that were here, the lady and her husband that have the resort out there, whose name I'm sorry, Gay, I think, or something I forgot, were very passionate. There's a lot of feeling there. And they have a lot of feeling about Eureka and what makes Eureka a special place. A place that was born out of acceptance, universal acceptance of people, universal acceptance of diversity, universal acceptance of religion, universal acceptance of lifestyles, anything else you want to call it. It was obvious, evident. And it could have stayed that way. So why didn't it? Well, interestingly enough, we had a piece of legislative action pop up, Senate Bill 202. And everybody went back and said, wait a minute. What's going on at the state level? This council met 2 weeks ago on a Monday night, and we're bringing in a resolution, just a resolution basically at that point, That's not what Eureka Springs is founded on. It's not what Eureka Springs believes. It's not why people moved to Eureka Springs. It's not the way people have lived in Eureka Springs. I don't know if this is an anomaly in the state of Arkansas or the South or not. I pretty much figured out it is. No doubt about it. A little bastion of free thinkers, educated free thinkers who don't march to the drum of some dogma or doctrine that's handed down to them. So we came in to do a resolution. But look what was happening when we came in here and what of the issues that were going on. Legislature had just passed it. Senate Bill 202 had an emergency clause on it, which I find absolutely interesting. How can they have an emergency clause and pass it at that level and nobody's upset when we put an emergency clause and everybody's pissed off? Amazing. Mm-hmm. So here we are having our meeting on Monday night. Alderman DeVito took the ball and said, the window's closing on the opportunity for Eureka Springs to stand up and to put into action everything that it has always believed in up to this point. Eureka Springs is not going to stand on the sidelines, and Eureka Springs is not going to be mute. Europe was mute way too much when the Nazis were walking across it, and look what happened. Eureka Springs is going to stand up for its principles, its ideals, what it's believed in, and what it's done. So we had that short window. No, I don't believe there's anybody on this council, and there was nobody there that night that really went out of our way to not listen to the citizens of this town. Absolutely not. But we had a very short window. It was going to the Senate. It already passed the legislature, and there was no doubt. You'd have to be absolutely deaf, dumb, and blind to believe it wasn't going to pass the Senate. And at that time, the governor had not gone on record and had not said that he wasn't going to sign it, and it looked like it...
I'm going to do the same thing I did with... We're talking about voting and doing a referendum. Are you going to...
Do we need one?
Discussion of city referendum on ordinance.
Yes. I mean, I appreciate and I understand, and we all agree with what you're saying and with what Mickey was saying. I mean, I'm throwing this out to y'all. And the other option, I mean, you know, as Mickey said, I did ask the municipal league, you know, can you put up a law can you vote on a law that is basically going to be unenforceable? And he said, that's an interesting question. I don't know how that, we've never, you know, we don't know. So, but anyway, so the question is, it's going to come up for a referendum probably, whether we do it or somebody else does it. Mr. McClung.
Well, I mean, the problem I have is and it may not seem like a lot of money, but I think it is a lot of money.
It is.
And it's money that, whether it's $3,500 or $7,500 or...
It is.
It's, you know, I hate to see I don't like to see the city have to pay for any kind of special referendum election. I mean, it's not a sewer problem. It's not, you know, it's not life-threatening to the city of Eureka Springs or to the residents.
Oh, man.
And what do you want me to say? I mean, it's not. I mean, what else?
I agree with
what
you.
else is
I've
there?
got the motion, so.
Now, James.
My question for the city attorney, what action would be required by council to get the 22-23 on the ballot? Would it take an ordinance, a resolution?
My understanding is it would take an ordinance.
I think it just takes a positive vote, but I'll check again.
If you're referring the actual ordinance to the people to vote on the actual ordinance, I think it takes an ordinance to do that.
That part it does, but we have to
If you
say
are
first.
only referring the idea of removing it, then I'd have to look.
No.
But if you are actually referring the actual ordinance, it can only be done by ordinance.
We first have to decide if we're going to do an ordinance.
Did that answer your question?
I'm confused if James is not. I'm sorry.
I'm lost. Sorry.
Well,
Okay, I think
so
basically...
we're back to basically crafting an ordinance for the next council meeting, reading it 3 times, and passing it on an emergency resolution to
No.
get it in the time frame of 30 days after the enacting of 22-23.
Yeah. Jeez.
No.
And I'm not sure, and I don't want to interject here, and Mr. Weaver can correct me if I'm wrong. If the other petition that's being circulated is filed with the clerk, then that would probably take precedence on getting it on the ballot. I'm not sure at that point whether or not it can be joined with another election or not.
I'm the election person here.
That would be up to the county
I don't know. Mr. Weaver, do you have a...
As I understand it, and I'm no expert at all on this because it's not something that comes up frequently, but if we were, or if they were to beat the city council to the punch and say we want it on the ballot, get the required signatures and get it certified, I think the city council still has to set the vote on it. So I think that if it was within a reasonable, and there is a definite frame of how long, and I think it's 90 days from when it's certified. As long as it was within that 90-day period, I think the council could still possibly get it. But there's also the possibility that you can't get it printed with the county ballots that quickly.
90 days is it.
And you may have that. You may already have that problem. I don't know.
I do have the information if someone will call on me.
Ms. Snyder?
Okay, and I've checked with the election office just to verify. We can do a voice vote tonight in agreement to put it on the general ballot. That will supersede any petition walked right now by anybody. We have already decided we're putting it to a vote of the people. That's ours, and we have specified when. They can't make us go earlier. If we choose to go earlier, we're going to pay for it. All we have to do is pass an agreement. We are going to put it on this ballot. At that point, we then have until 90 days before that time period to put it in the printed form that we want it and submit that to the election commission.
Put it into an ordinance?
Yes. Do the proper wording and everything, and that's all we have to do. And it won't cost us a dime to do it on a general ballot. Otherwise, if we do it in May, which would be the very next one, that'll cost us half because of Berryville. If we let them push the issue and say, well, we're making you do it, like it or lump it, fork over the money, we're going to have to pay all of the money.
Mr. Mitchell?
In summary, this is what I think I heard Mickey say, because I'm still fuzzy. If we take control of this issue, this city council, in an expeditious time frame, we can control the way the ballot reads because it's ours. The wording won't be somebody else's. That gives us control. I like control. Sorry. I love control. And I think that's important. I hate to think we're just doing it because we're controlling cost. Obviously, I pay a lot of attention to cost, but I would hate to think that the $7,000 is the motivating factor, because I don't really think it is. I think the motivating factor is to get ahead of it and take control. What I need to know is if that petition out there now has 96 signatures and they walk in here in the morning and hand it to the mayor, then they've got control. Is that how it happens?
No, they have to get it certified. That'll take several days.
Do we have time then to take and grab the situation?
If we do it now.
I need to. Who goes first? What do we have to do to get the situation?
We can call an emergency
Mr.
meeting. That's it. Once they turn it in.
The one thing I want to caution you about is what Ms. Snyder just said a little bit ago, that the municipal league said when this takes effect, if our vote, however it comes about, is after that date, we may be committing an illegal act.
What date? Help me out.
The effective date of the state law.
They're looking at August for that to take effect.
We can do it?
Carries.
That was where I asked
They
if
have
that
90
would be
days
illegal.
After
today.
they adjourn. After the...
No, it's after today. He had 5 days to, my understanding, I may be wrong.
I'm talking about the state
Yes.
SB
That's what I was
202,
talking about.
90 days from today?
90 days at the adjournment of the legislature.
Okay. Well,
And so what Mickey was talking about with putting it on the next general election, that will be definitely after.
That's not.
But
gonna
it
work.
also gives them, no, it gives them plenty of time to
wait,
research it.
Wait, one at a time. James?
Well, for one thing, there's not a general election in an off year.
No.
It would be 2016. And they can initiate a petition to challenge the ballot. That they can initiate a petition against the ordinance we've passed. It doesn't have to be a referendum. It can be an initiative petition, which I'm sure they will do.
Okay. Mr. McClung?
Well, it sounds like to me, if you're trying to talk strategy here, and that sounds like what David's got in mind, and if you're trying to take control of the situation, if we do this voice vote and we decide to put it on the 2016 general election ballot, and it goes into effect in 3 months, and that'll negate that anyway. So then it's done, right? You won't have to pay for the other, and chances are it'll be eliminated off the ballot. Right or wrong?
Ms. Schneider?
If we do a voice vote tonight approving it going on the next general ballot, be that in November if the state has a special general ballot, or in November of 16 for the regular one is immaterial. We will have already decreed it's going on the ballot to a vote of the people, and that's what these people want. In the meantime, if the state law, when the state law goes into effect, ours doesn't count because we cannot do anything with it, so it's moot. They still can't do anything. Nothing changes. We are giving it to a vote of the people. We are doing it in a proper way. In the meantime, Municipal League has plenty of time to find out if after the state law goes into effect, if this would be an illegal motion on our part. If it is, they would tell us, we would remove it from the ballot. It's a win-win. Nobody gets hurt and everything gets done and people have a voice.
Mr. Weaver?
Potentially, I see one problem with that strategy beyond that, and that is if you are leaving the ordinance as passed until the people have their vote at the general election, when the state law takes effect, it doesn't remove it off our books.
Right.
It
that has to
becomes
stay on.
unenforceable.
Right.
It may become
It stays
unenforceable,
on.
but it still remains on our books.
Right.
And unremovable.
Mr. Mitchell?
So
And that's the point that the Human League just talked to me about in another organization, because I'm a little confused where Alderman Snyder says that ordinance is mute. Our ordinance may be mute, and then the question arises, can we enforce it or not? But our ordinance on the books, if it stays on the books, then potentially comes a platform for possible future litigation, because we already had ours on the books. This isn't law yet, and then it opens the future. And I'm still on the referendum, so hang on here. Just want to clear this up real quick, because and if ours is on the books, then we have the potential for future litigation. And I know we all are concerned about that and where it's going, and we really don't want to. And we have a chance for the. I got so worried about that I was going to mess it up. I forgot what I was going to say. So let's just move on.
Okay. We know without a doubt that there's a May 12th election in Berryville. Then we should pass a voice vote to put it on the May 12th.
There we go. Now I understand.
That's fair and equitable, and it alleviates the cost factor, and it's
only by half.
Half is better than nothing. So I will make a motion that we place ordinance number 2223 on the May 12th countywide election. Or it would be countywide then.
Have a second?
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay. Mr. McClung?
Okay. In the end, if that's done, and say that the ordinance is upheld by the vote, And then come August, it's an unenforceable ordinance. What have you accomplished? I want to know. That's what I want to know. What?
We've saved $3,500.
No, we wasted.
No, we spent $3,500. We haven't. We saved
We're
a
going to have an
dime.
election one way or the
Yeah,
other.
but it could be, 2 years down the road.
No, it ain't going to be 2 years down the road.
Sure it
It
could.
has to be 90 days from the time this other petition's running
I
around.
don't think you guys thought this very well through last 2 weeks ago.
Wait a minute. All right. Ms. Schneider?
If we pass a vote tonight saying we are putting it on the general election ballot, there isn't anything else that can be done because we have already said we will be putting it on there. So they can't insist on us putting it to a vote of the people because we've already voted to put it to a vote of the people. In the meantime, when the law goes through, if nobody sues the state right away, then it doesn't make any difference because we can't take any action and it's moot. One way or another, we have the lead by saying we are putting it on the general ballot. And nobody can take that away from us.
Ms. Zeller, you haven't spoken yet.
That makes sense to me. And I have that makes sense to me. And finally, I'm understanding what you're saying, and you're making sense. I mean, are people taking notes here?
Write that down.
Anyhow, I have a question. Has this passed the state? When does the Senate, it has to go through the Senate yet, or when do they vote? Does anybody know?
It's done.
It passed.
It passed
They
through the
took out the
Senate,
emergency clause.
and it's now on the mayor's or the governor's
As
desk.
of 12 o'clock tonight, when he does not veto it, it becomes law.
Within,
Why?
Within 90
The
days,
governor doesn't have to sign
He
it?
does not have to sign it.
He was going to, he threatened to,
okay, right, all right.
and then didn't.
All right, does that answer your question?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, apparently nothing is going to happen that's going to be any good for us at the state level.
No.
Right.
That's all done. Okay, so the next thing then sounds like what Mickey suggested makes sense to me, to put it on a ballot that at least will prevent these, let's just say,
Outsiders?
people from Fayetteville to force us into having a special election here and spending money.
Mr. Mitchell?
In quick summary, because I want to be absolutely sure I'm not missing something here. We vote tonight. I'm going to ask this of the attorney because I want him on record.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube now. Hang in there. We passed this referendum, not referendum. We passed by vote tonight that the motion of 2223 is added to the May something 12th election, and we're in the council. The city council of Eureka Springs is referring 2223 to a vote of the registered voting citizens of Eureka Springs on March the 12th in a joint with the county, and so it's going before them. And at that point, we're going to find out if it's a yay or a nay. If it's a yay,
May 12th.
if it's a yay that they're supporting it and it stays in effect, our ordinance stays on the books. And it stays on the books, and then we have this time frame out here for the Senate Bill 202 that pops up eventually because it goes into law at 90 days from whatever, some date here coming up. And then we have an ordinance that's been on the books, and we have a state law that's over here, and then the lawyers all start to get rich.
Here
I
we
think
are.
they may get rich before that point.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
they
they probably are a little bit right now. And they are, but we understand that. And it's on the referendum, so I'm not going to go off in some other place right now because it's not the time or the place to argue it. But you know what? I'm going to support this referendum because I want the power back to this council to control the issue, and I don't want somebody else doing it. And I want to know what the wording is on the ballot.
Right.
That's
That's
my
what
vote.
we need to do.
James said something. I would like for you to reiterate, James, what you're talking about. Your logic on why we can't have this on the 2016 election, why that's not a valid...
Well, I just think it negates the will of the people into passing a referendum on any ordinance that the council. I mean, to me, it just seems to totally do away with the authority of of the people to challenge an ordinance that the council passed. And by merely us going with a voice vote, we can put it off 2 years. Hell, we could put it off 3 years. If the general, well, no, that's every 2 years. So I'm not comfortable until I get an opinion, with all due respects, that states that we can agree to put it on the general 2016 ballot, and they have no authority to go through with their referendum. I find that a bit troubling.
So my research is
Wait,
chopped
wait,
liver.
wait.
Excuse
Miss,
me,
please.
do you have it in writing?
Oh, I didn't know that you would demand writing.
Ms. Snyder, please, wait a minute.
I hope she's right.
I mean, obviously, my concern is it's going to go to a vote, and of course, my concern is whether or not it's going to cost us $7,500 or $3,650 or zero. And I think that's what Mr. McClung was going toward also. If it's going to come back and bite us and cost us another $7,500 for another election for some reason, because what we're doing is not proper, and I don't know whether Mr. Weaver can shed any light on that or not. Mr. Weaver?
I don't know that it's going to cost you a second election fee, but it may cost you, in the meantime, defense of a lawsuit. Because if you try to put it off to the general election, even if Ms. Schneider is correct that that is the state of the law, I think this is an area of the law that is probably not well settled, and it will probably invite a lawsuit anyway if you try to put it off for a vote in a year and 9 months.
9 months, yeah.